if you strip out the healthcare industry right now, before this last print on jobs, you look back 12 months, we created 0 jobs. 0. Now, why is that? I think a lot of it's because of AI. I think a lot of the entry-level positions are going away. Most people that follow me, I don't want to bore people with a same story and stuff, but yeah, I've got a diverse background. I dropped out of high school. Actually, I was expelled from high school and asked.
Was it for an action or just because you couldn't be bothered?
For doing something bad, and I like hit a teacher and stuff.
Okay.
Male teacher though, but nonetheless, I mean,
Not something you're supposed to do.
It's the kind of thing that you could end up, in jail for now.
Yeah.
Or in a home. So I was fortunate. They just asked me to not come back. And so then I went to college, and I dropped out of college. After a year, I drifted west, and I ended up working in the oil fields in Wyoming. And on the way out of town, I dropped off an application at the police department somewhere up there. I'm not going to name the town because, I mean, there's still people there that know me and stuff. And they contacted me while I was working out in the oil fields, and eventually I came back and I became a cop. And I did that for a little while a couple of years until I got burned out. And then I left there, drifted south, and ended up in the mountains in Colorado, and I started working underground as a miner.
Whoa.
And, my life was just kind of like a shitstorm. Things were not going really that well in my life. I mean,
While you're mining or just in general?
Just in general. I mean, by the time I remember at one point when I was down underground really deep working, and I thought, man, my life just sucks. And I'm never going to go anywhere in life. And, at the time I thought I really need to get back to school. I need to get out of here. And, you talked about being a parent. It's so important. Little things in life can make such a difference. I had parents that really believed in me and thought the world of me. And I asked them, I said, can I come and live in your basement and go back to school, college, in state? And back in those days, college wasn't a for-profit business model based upon high interest rates, trying to basically trying to almost in usury impact students so much with debt that they really had no future in front of them. I mean, I could go to college. I could do a full tuition for like under $3,000.
Wow.
And
I think it's like $3,000 a class per semester now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the loans that were available to me were federal loans, and they were at very low interest rate. And I could pay them back once I was employed out of college. And I mean, it was a different world then, and different model where big business had not come in to make it a profitable model. So I went back to school, and at the time, I was very fortunate. The Navy was hurting for pilots. I had been a pilot. I didn't say this earlier, but I used to fly airplanes around the country. Even when I was 17 years old, I had a license, and I would ferry airplanes around the country, trying to build up time.
What's a ferry, like just empty legs kind of thing?
Yeah, the guy would put me on a bus. I mean, this guy was like a used cars dealer in airplanes. And he'd put me on a Greyhound bus, and he'd say, go out to Topeka. I've got a Cessna whatever there. And, I'd never flown many of these planes. I mean, I would get in the cockpit and just start reading the book so I could get it started and get going. And then...
once you're up in the sky, is it all kind of the same?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
One of the most important lessons I ever learned was to know where the fuel switch valve was to switch from tank to tank. And I never forgot that lesson.
Did you have up in the sky?
I had many incidents, but anyway,
wow.
I survived that, and but I had some hours, and I did really well in the Navy, and so I got to choose the fighters I wanted. I flew F-18s, Hornets, which they're still using, obviously, over in the Gulf now, and in fact, I was over there decades ago, but in kind of the same thing, button heads with Iran. That has not gone away. And
this is back in like the 2000s or even before that?
Even before that.
Yeah.
We've been in a constant conflict with Iran, over decades now, which influences so much of what we see going on today in this particular conflict. But anyway, just to make a long story short, and then after that I got out with Delta. I was flying for Delta for years. I retired as a captain. I was really into motorcycles, and I built my own. I was into choppers and kind of hanging out with some different kind of people, like 1%ers and stuff. And I had a bad accident, ended my flying career.
In a chopper?
Yeah.
Okay.
That thing was a killer.
Yeah.
Her name was Ginger. I'll give you a picture of her if you want to include it in the podcast.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I mean, she was a bitch, and I built her from the ground up. The woman I was dating, who I married, when she first met me, I had that chopper. It was on a table like in here on the dining room table, and it was totally disassembled. The engine was in pieces. I welded that thing in my living room, and it was an old 1870s house with wood floors, and I welded on top of that thing. I'm lucky I didn't burn the damn thing. But that ended my career, and then
Was that your choice or?
No,
No.
I had a brain injury, which probably another reason to always question what I'm saying here. But I'm not making this up, even though it sounds like it. And,
No, it sounds like a good movie, man. This is
But anyway, so I got through that, and the thing is that you have to realize that everything I told you just shows you that I was nothing but a working man. I mean, I was a plumber in life. I mean, it was the guy that was working for people. I wasn't an entrepreneur. I wasn't building things. I was a working man, and I liked it. I liked working. I just loved working outside. I loved working physical work. It was great. But the thing is, I realized something, which is I could never outrun these pricks, these bastards. I grew up in the 70s. I mean, you know what that means. That's stagflation that they're talking about now.
Yeah.
Only real stagflation. Inflation at 15%. Mortgages at 18%, car loan at 21%.
wow.
No growth, people, no jobs, inflation. At the time, the debt to GDP was about 36%. And so when Volcker came in, he had runway, he had room, he could elbow room that he could actually maneuver himself in a position to finally get control of that in the 80s. But that doesn't exist today. I mean, we're looking at the same possible outcome of stagflation over the next year.
18% interest and all this stuff, you mean?
I won't say it'll go that high, but what I mean is the fact that if you strip out the healthcare industry right now, before this last print on jobs, you look back 12 months, we created 0 jobs, 0. And the Fed's already actually said that on air. Without, we've created 0 jobs. Now, why is that? I think a lot of it's because of AI. I think a lot of the entry-level positions are going away.
Yeah.
If you look at the certain age group from postgraduate, like 22 up to 26 maybe, you look at that and you look at high school dropouts like myself, I did go back to school, by the way. But you look at
Before or after the brain injury, was that?
it was before.
Okay.
The Navy would never have made me an officer if I hadn't gone back to
Oh,
school.
interesting.
Yeah, you had to have a college degree for them.
Okay.
But anyway, if you look at that age group and you look at the different people in that, like high school dropouts, graduates, associate degrees, college degrees, you know that the longest term unemployed between jobs right now are in the college educated market. It's a very tough thing. This is changing dramatically.
And do you think that's because the world has changed and those college people, there's no positions for them, or is it because the college has changed so much and it's become kind of, like you said, a for-profit business model, not an actual stepping stone into the real world?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't pretend to know what is causing this. I'm not so sure that it's that as much as we see that the basic premise behind what it means to advance in a white-collar job is probably gone. Meaning that the idea you have an entry-level job or a rung of the ladder in which you can climb up and then stay within a firm, grow, that ladder, that rung's being removed by AI. Mm-hmm. And you can look, it's not me talking. You can just get online and you can see in the various companies that they are acknowledging that. We don't need as many people. And what you have to understand about AI that's very unique is this is not mechanization that's going to replace workers. You're talking about thought, brain. We're replacing brains. So where does that brain go to? Now, if you were me and young and you're out in the oil fields in Wyoming there, you just go to another job, another rig when that rig closes, or another oil field. But when it's your brain that's been replaced and it's in a position or a field that you're interested in, where do you go?
Yeah.
If you're in law school and you're in an entry-level law degree, where do you go? This is a fundamental shift I don't think it's going away.